Hello, law students and bar candidates. I prepared this video for you and we are going to talk about depositions, 25 things to remember. I am Attorney Chato Olivas of Easy Law Online. I'm using my blog post in attorneychatolibrary.blogspot.com and I invite you to take a look at my digital library kasi maraming resources there for you as law students and bar candidates. Umpisahan na natin ang discussion tungkol sa depositions. Now, pag-usapan muna natin ang concept and purpose of a deposition. Deposition taking is the taking of a person's statement under oath about facts and circumstances that he witnessed. Note that the statement is not taken during court proceedings. Wag nating itong i-mistake na ang deposition taking is inside the court. Actually, this is taken outside the court that is hearing the case. Or it may also be taken even if there is no case yet, as we will see later on. The person whose statement is taken is called the deponent, not witness, and his statement is known as deposition. Strictly speaking, hindi testimony kasi outside of court, and the deponent may not even be presented as witness. Ang purpose ng deposition, kung hindi siya witness, bakit ka magte-take ng deposition? The purpose is to discover information to preserve the deponent's statement. Halimbawa, he is very sick or he is about to leave the country. All right? So, to preserve the deponent's statement, the deposition is taken. Gagamitin na lang yon later on if necessary. The deposition can also be used to impeach a person's credibility if and when he takes the witness stand later on during the trial of a case and his testimony contradicts something he said in his deposition. So pwede siyang gamitin as direct evidence, pwede siyang gamitin as impeaching evidence, or pwedeng hindi siya gamitin depending on the person who is taking the deposition. Hindi ibig sabihin if a deposition is taken, that is already taken as the testimony of a witness. May option pa yung person taking the deposition whether to present the deposition or not in court. So, a prospective witness is examined to preserve his or her testimony for future use. When the deposition is taken, it does not mean that the deponent has already become a witness of the party taking the deposition. Like I said, he becomes a witness only when he or his deposition is presented in court. So the second thing to remember is that it is part of discovery. They are one of the primary modes of discovery under the Philippine Rules of Court. Discovery refers to proceedings used by parties to learn or find out facts that are important to their case. There are two kinds of deposition mainly. We have, if you take a look at item 3, we have depositions, two main types rather, depositions pending action, meaning there is already a court case, but the deposition is taken rather to gather information in a place outside the court. And then there are depositions before action or pending appeal. So yung depositions taken under this, which is Rule 24, this is used to perpetuate the testimony of a witness when there's a risk that the witness will become unavailable, as when he is very old, when he is very sick, or when he intends to leave the country within a short period of time. Now, the scope of examination, deposition taking has a very broad scope. You can ask about any matter that is not privileged as long as it is relevant to the subject matter of the pending action or of the future action, and whether or not it will be admissible at the trial. So yung issue of admissibility will be determined later on. Ang importante, as of the time of taking the deposition, is that it is relevant. So you take a look at number 5, relevance, not admissibility. The test for a deposition question is relevance to the subject matter, not immediate admissibility as evidence. And as defined in the rules of court, the rules on evidence, a matter is relevant when it has a relation to the fact in issue as to induce a belief as to its existence or non-existence. Sino-sino ang pwedeng i-depose or tawagin as a deponent any person, whether a party or not, whose testimony is irrelevant to the case. And if you take a look at number 7, notice is crucial. Proper written notice must be served on all parties, specifying the deponent's name, the time, and the place of the deposition. There are persons who are authorized to take a deposition. Pwedeng judge, a notary public, or other officer authorized to administer oaths. In civil cases, depositions can be taken before a judge who is not the one hearing the case. For example, the case is in Manila and the deponent, a sickly elderly man, resides in Camalaniugan, Cagayan. The deposition can be taken before a judge in Camalaniugan, Cagayan, who is not the same judge who is hearing the case here in Manila. Okay? So number 9, oral or written depositions can be taken upon oral examination or written interrogatories, although mas common yung oral examination. An oral examination is that the questions are being asked directly by the lawyer to the deponent, and the deponent directly or immediately answers. Yung question and answer, these are recorded through transcripts of stenographic notes. Written interrogatories means that the questions are written and given to the deponent before the actual deposition taking. The answers are also given in writing. And it is the officer who is authorized to administer oaths who reads out the questions in the written interrogatories and records the answers. Okay? So, and then let's go to number 10. Subpoena for non-parties. If the deponent is not a party to the case, subpoenas are necessary. There are two kinds of subpoenas. Subpoena ad testificandum, it is to compel the deponent to appear and give a statement, and subpoena duces tecum, to compel the appearance of the deponent and to bring documents. Now, number 11, party deponents. If the person to be deposed is a party to the case, meaning either a plaintiff or a defendant, a notice is sufficient to compel attendance. A subpoena is not necessary. Number 12, presence of counsel. All parties have the right to be present in person or by counsel and to cross-examine the deponent during the deposition taking. So note, ang importante dito is the opportunity to cross-examine. It may be waived, but then the opportunity must be there. Number 13, objections during deposition. Objections such as leading questions, privileged information, or irrelevant questions should be stated concisely for the record. But the examination will proceed unless the objection goes into the form of the question that can be cured or reformed. 14, motion to terminate or limit. If a counsel is conducting the questioning in bad faith, or to annoy or embarrass or oppress the deponent or a party can move to terminate or limit the deposition. Number 15, recording methods. The usual way to record the statements during deposition taking is through stenographic notes. It can also be recorded by video or other means as long as the recording is accurate. And 16, transcription. The testimony is transcribed into a written record. 17, reading and signing. The deponent has the right to read or correct for errors in form or substance, and sign the transcript. And this right can be waived. Number 18, waiver of errors. Errors and irregularities in the notice, officer, manner of taking, or deposition, or transcript rather, are generally waived if not promptly objected to. 19, filing with the court. Once the deposition taking is complete, the deposition, the transcript is sealed and filed with the court. Number 20, deposition can be used to impeach. Okay, this is one of the purposes of deposition taking. The deposition can be presented to contradict or impeach the testimony of the deponent as a witness. For example, in an action for damages, the deponent was presented as a witness, and he stated that he saw the defendant punch the victim. However, in his deposition, which was taken earlier, he stated that he did not see who punched the victim. So magka-contradict na. The deposition can be used to contradict his testimony in court. This is done by presenting the deposition to the witness and having him confirm the statement in the deposition, meaning having him admit that he indeed said that during the deposition taking and in fact admit his signature on the transcript, because he will be asked to sign the transcript before it is sealed and filed with the court. 21. The deposition can be used as substantive evidence. If the deponent is an adverse party, it can be used as substantive evidence for any purpose. 22. Unavailability. If the deponent is dead outside the 100-kilometer radius from the place of trial unless due to the party's procurement, infirm or cannot be compelled to attend, his deposition can be presented in court. 23. Exceptional circumstances. His deposition can be presented for any reason the court deems just and exceptional. For example, he's very sick and lives in a distant place and is too weak to travel. His deposition can be presented. 24. Deposition taking is not part of the trial. It's a discovery tool. The deponent is not on trial and the goal is to gather and preserve information. It is even possible that the deposition will not be presented in court. This is the choice of the person who took the deposition. 25. Truthfulness under oath. Like trial testimony, deposition testimony is given under oath and false statements can lead to perjury charges. Hanggang dito na lamang. I will be seeing you in the next video.
Simplehan natin ang batas so we can do justice. That's easy law.